What is up, peeps? It's me, the KOC, and it's Coach. Welcome to Matt Talk with KOC and Coach. I am excited. I am elated to have our first guest on this first episode, well, this second episode, rather, of Matt Talk with KOC and Coach. She is an entrepreneur. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's a professor, a college professor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome both of our cousins, Miss Shamaka Rice. Miss Shamaka, how are you today?
I am good. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ooh, that's a lot of questions. You could say a little bit, but a little bit about myself. I'm everything that he already said that I was, and I am just a person who is known for. I don't really know what to say. Like, I don't. Are you want me to say like about me?
About you.
Like the question.
I'll give you this right here. Check it out, Shamaka. Thinking back, what is your earliest memories of life? What was your home dynamics growing up? Be it mother, father. What did it look like for you growing up?
You want me to start there?
Absolutely.
Ooh, life growing up was different. I don't talk about, my story a lot just because it's a lot. And I understand that my testimony is a part of someone else's testimony. But life growing up was very difficult in a lot of ways and very fun in a lot of ways. I'm the oldest of five, and my parents had me when they were 15 years old. And so, I was introduced to the struggle like early on, but by the time they were 21, they had all five of us. So I'm the oldest of five, and we are like back to back to back to back. And so growing up, I really just kind of took on the wings of, a guardian, if you will. My parents were there, but I always acted older than my age because I knew that I had younger siblings looking up to me. I knew that my parents were still young, trying to figure life out as well. I saw a lot that I, may or may not shouldn't have seen, but me seeing what I saw and me growing up the way I did to younger parents who were just 14, 15 years older than me, taught me a lot about being self-sufficient, taught me a lot about being independent. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, it's a part of my story that I'm honestly most proud of because it made me who I am today. Adversity breeds literally strength. And I do think that growing up and all the things that I was exposed to, in the projects and with younger parents and just going through not having food to eat, not having the basic necessities, definitely made me the strong person that I am today.
Absolutely. Freaking awesome, Shamaka. I do know that coming through school, you've always been a pretty brilliant young lady. But you also partook in athletics, particularly track and field. How did that shape you coming up through your early formative years of high school?
You see the smile when you say track. I love me some track and field. Listen, so I would say, like, honestly, when I got into track and field, I was just good at it. Like, I wasn't the best. I wasn't the best.
You have to be. I was just good
I was just good at it. It was like I was in sixth grade, burning people in the 50-yard dash, for lack of better words.
Ooh.
And from there, someone was like, "Oh, you should run track." We were in summer track, and you beat us in the 50-yard dash, so you should run track. And I was like, "All right, cool." So my seventh grade year, eighth grade year, my mom was like, wasn't nobody gonna be commuting me back and forth to the high school. So my ninth grade year, I was like, I'm going out for track. And I got on that team, y'all, and they threw me to the wolves. Let me just say that. They threw me, Coach Eric threw me to the wolves, Coach Davis, Coach Lil John, actually. Yes. Donnie Lil John was one of my coaches. And I feel like they threw me to the wolves because I was naturally good, but I wasn't ready for that. And they put me in the 400, and it was a race that I now deem a metaphor for life. Like, the 400 is a race that you have to have skill to run. I say it's a man's race. Just because there's a tactic, there's a strategy to run in the 400. And I look at it just like life. and different. We can look at it as life as a whole, and we can look at it as seasons of life, where things that we're going through. In that, just like that 400, where you start out at a good pace and you want to keep up, and then you throttle back, and then when you're coming around the third, 100 right there, you kind of like, okay, I know the finish line is coming. Let me go ahead where I throttle back and kind of speed up. And then that last little bit, you give it your all. When you're the most tired, you give it your all. When you're out of breath, you give it your all. When you feel, some days you can't feel your legs, you give it your all. They tell you when you can't feel your legs, you depend on your arms. And I feel like I kind of grabbed hold of that in the ninth grade, and I took it all the way through 4 years of college. And I just feel like, that really groomed me and shaped me to be the leader that I am. So, just to go back to my childhood being the fortitude and the foundation for the strength that I feel like I possess nowadays because of the adversity, track and field, it really sculpted the leader. The leader was always there, but I feel like it gave me the opportunity to say, hey, y'all need a leader. Y'all need somebody to step up to the plate. I never said no to my coaches. I never backed down from the challenge. You can beat me all day long, but you're gonna have to work for this. That's how that was. And I led by example in that way, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Hey, fun fact. I just learned this about you. I knew you ran track and field, but I knew you ran 400 meters.
All right,
that was my business as well.
Oh no, it's a men's race, right?
Men's race, the hardest race.
Oh, Coach, you used to run track and field too?
Absolutely.
Listen.
Oh man.
I know I'm not running Jack and Help, but I went on to Spartanburg Methodist and continued running. Shamaka went on limestone, correct?
Yep, went to limestone.
Well,
track and field scholarship.
Absolutely. When Shamaka says that that track and field is hands down the hardest race, I believe, in track and field, in college sport track and field.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not be close. The focus to come out of the block and have enough kick coming to that first curve and getting that slingshot out.
Not too much.
Not too much.
Right.
And requiring, basically just depending on that momentum you're going to have when that sling comes out at first, and then knowing that I got to throttle this back because I'm looking at the 200 meter mark, and you know what's going to happen next because you're already about to run 200 meters. So when you hit that next 200 meter mark, now your mind has to do a total switch.
It's literally like gears.
It's gears. You have to stick your hand down your chest and grab your heart and make sure it's pumping real good.
Yep.
You're about to do something strange to it. Get that last curve, and like she say, man, pick up your arms and hope your legs fall.
Hope your arms carry your arm through.
Well, I didn't run track, so y'all got something. I didn't play no sports in high school. But no, you ran track and field. You went on Limestone University. But you also have another story when you went to college. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
So when I went to college, going into college, I came out of high school an honor student. I had the Life Scholarship. I had, all the academic stuff on point just because I love education. And it just came easy for me. I ain't gonna sit here and lie like I studied like that. I didn't. It was just easy. So it's just kind of one of those things that I fell in love with at a young age, and it paved the way for me. And so I went into college a double scholarship student. I had a track and field scholarship, and I had an academic scholarship. And going into college, I got pregnant my freshman year. September of my freshman year, I got pregnant, and that sort of definitely shifted things. It wasn't expected to my pregnant, I will add, by my now husband. Okay, but we were young and we weren't expecting this. 18 years old, it was kind of like, do I back down or do I put my foot on the gas and do what I know to do? And I put my foot on the gas and do what I know to do.
You didn't stop.
Hey guys, I just want to take a moment and give a quick hand clap to my guy, Chris Rice.
Thank you. He's a great guy.
Great guy.
Look, I'm
awesome
biased.
guy. You are biased. You're a little biased. Very humble. I had a chance to meet him at the pageant. Very humble, very quiet, very soft-spirited. Just a great guy. He's also a railroad. He works on the railroad. He's a train driver.
Yes.
Yep.
He's also in the United States Army as well.
He is. So thank him for his service. And you also, I had Shamaka for my college skills class. And during my freshman year of college, she was going through a season where she wasn't feeling her best because of your husband was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you navigate your feeling of You're missing your husband, but you still had to teach. You still had to be a mother. Like, how did you do it?
That was tough. That was arguably one of the top two hardest seasons of my life. It wasn't the top one. It was like second to top, only because I've never been a solo parent, thankfully, right? Chris has always been there. We've been together since we were 17, and I've probably been apart from him before that tour in Africa 2 weeks at the most, maybe 3 weeks. And so in 17 years, you think about it, right? And so I think I was just most afraid of going into it feeling alone. I don't really talk to anybody other than Chris about, just personal things. And so I think just the fear of the unknown was very hard for me. And so then, once I got into it, I would say it was a day to day thing. I managed, right? Because that's what strong people do. We manage. But it was tough. It was literally a time in my life where I felt like I was probably the most vulnerable. A time in my life where I felt like, you know, um, I had to show my weak side in order to cope, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And so in those moments, I ended up getting a therapist. I ended up sharing with you guys, I think, that I had a therapist. I was like a huge advocate for therapy and just making sure that you're okay in those times where you're really not.
Right.
And so, you need me to keep going?
Go on.
Okay. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I cope with it. I got a therapist. That was the very first time in my whole life that I would have a therapist. And I loved it. And I'm still to this day a huge advocate for therapy. I went through an entire year and some change of therapy. And I just remember just coming out of the sessions feeling refreshed, but I also went into those sessions like broken and torn because my other half
Right.
is across the world. And so I don't know, like it was tough. And then and even in that, I didn't know what my kids were feeling. So that was like another, dynamic, another side of the dynamic. It was just like I wanted to make sure that they were good, and I understand that kids don't always show what they're feeling, but then years down the road when they become teenagers or adults, they're like, I remember when. And so I was trying to, I can't do everything,
Right.
right? But I was busy trying to make sure that all of their I remember wins would be not necessarily happy ones, but ones where they can say, yes, I was sad, but, not I was sad and nobody came to check on me. And so during that time, what I was learning for myself in therapy, which is how to express my emotions. And, emotions are hardwired. Emotions are not bad. You can be sad. You can be upset. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to be vulnerable. For a moment, I was teaching them the same thing. And so we would have conversations like in the morning time, going to school, like, how are you feeling today? How was it today? I gave them so much grace in that season that I would have never given them otherwise.
Right.
So,
And you have to be a trooper.
Shamaka, you don't mind, speak to us about because we all both personally know your mother and your father, and those two individuals are go-getters, they're workaholics. Talk to me a minute about how growing up in a household where parents, you mentioned you guys came straight up out of the project.
mm-hmm.
Remember, it was in the project with you guys, straight through. How has their work ethic and you seeing them go out there and grind from the lowest level jobs to where they are now, entrepreneurs? How has that bled over into who you are and all the grit and the go getter you got in you?
I love the word grit. That's exactly what it is. And you can't teach grit. You only get that from being in a place and getting out of a place.
Absolutely.
And I've seen them do that so many times, like too many times to name, too many times for them to even probably want to admit to. I seen them when they didn't think that I saw them because I was older, I mentioned earlier, and I was literally wise beyond my years. I remember. I remember. And so literally watching them go through a thing, get through a thing, come out of a thing, literally to hit another thing, go through the thing. And I don't ever remember a time where we were just smooth sailing until I was like in high school. Literally. It was struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle. And so saying all that, it teaches me that no is not finite. Like it teaches me that I can always work my way through anything. And my favorite saying on track and field is, you might be better than me, but you will never outwork me. And I think I got that mentality from my parents. Like, I can work my way through anything. I can work my way out of a paper bag. Like, I'm going to come out standing up tall. And I love them for that, that they taught us that. And I feel like even now, where most of us, including them, they have their own business as well. They're entrepreneurs and they have, multiple streams of income. Even them, and myself included and my siblings included, I feel like now that we've gotten through that and we're at this point in our lives, we haven't made it yet. We have not yet arrived, but we can fly with the best of them, but we can also get through when we need to get through. We kind of got the best of both worlds, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And you talk about entrepreneurship. You're an entrepreneur of your own.
Yes.
From various different things. Coach, I don't know if you know this thing, man, but she's on TikTok.
Not TikTok.
She does this TikTok thing, man, and I'm watching. Like, I'm really watching.
Yes.
And she does this thing. I don't know if she's still doing it, though. It's a Bible series.
Mm-hmm.
And she's basically just giving them wisdom in the morning. Just giving them wisdom. That's all she's doing. Just giving them wisdom on how to get through the day, how to get through depression, how to get through heartache. Like, whatever it is that God gives her at that point, that's what she's giving to the people. And that's what I love. Like, you're like a life coach. And that's what she taught in college skills, was just when life gets tough, you just got to keep going. Like, you can't stop. And that's what I love about it. And speaking of can't stop, you're an entrepreneur, like I said. You recently had to shut down the doors of your business.
Hold up before we get there, Trey.
Okay.
Hold up before we get right there. Because we're headed in the same direction.
Okay.
Let's talk about some trials and tribulations and the importance of your faith with that dunking you in those darkest moments. I remember when I was working at Gaffney High School and you were entering the education system. And man, wow. We were really hard pressed to find someone to teach mathematics who had the passion that you had. I'm not going to tell you the story. I'll let you tell your story. I was there firsthand to witness the joy and the peace on your face that I seen when I was walking to class. But I was also there on the other end when things didn't turn out. When God said not right now. How'd you work your way through and what that looked like and how that shaped you to be the awesome individual you are today?
That was a tough time. I know I said that about deployment, but boy, the last about 8 years have taught me so much. But that was a tough time, just because I feel like before that point, I had never been faced with something that I was inadequate in. And I don't want that to come off haughty or like trying to seem high. But I was just naturally good at everything. And so I naturally just got the A, or I naturally just came in first or second, third place, And so when I, set out to become a teacher, I didn't. So the story to that is crazy. So I went into Limestone not knowing that I wanted to be a teacher. I thought that I was going to be, I always say this, I thought I was going to be a corporate baddie. I thought I was going to have my briefcase and my two-piece set on every day, buttoned up to the neck, with my heels on, going into somebody's office. I knew that it was going to be math related, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually was just a math major, just math. And then I told y'all I had a kid my freshman year. By my senior year, I had been married for 3 years because we got married like sophomore year. It was crazy. But it was good.
And you
good
continued to run track.
And I continued to run track. Yeah. So I had Maddie. I got pregnant with Maddie September of my freshman year. I had her in June. Perfect timing. I had the summer off, and I came back ready to go and train in August. It was like nothing ever stopped. The only thing that was different is that I moved off campus. But by the time my senior year got here, Maddie was 3. So I got a 3-year-old. I have not been working. Chris was holding down the house. Bless his heart. I love him so much. But he was holding down the house, allowing me to live my dream. And I ended up not getting my 4-year degree for one class. It was the very top math class that you can take at the school. I made a D in it, and you have to make a C or better. And this is the class that I probably put in the most hours of study time compared to all the other classes combined. I probably put in more study time for this class. And I knew that it was hard. I knew what I was faced with. There were only like 4 students in the class. That tells you how hard the class was. So anyway, I didn't get my 4-year degree. They were like, we offer the class again in like 2 years. 2 years because they don't have that many people to take it. So I was like, okay, do I wait 2 years to take one class to get a 4-year degree and try to save face? Or do I do what I have to do? I did what my parents would do. I did what I had to do. And so I took a 2-year degree when I had 4 years worth of credit. In order to say I graduated, I went on to work at BMW. I came back. When I came back, that's when the teaching thing started. So coming back was like 2016. I graduated from Limestone in 2012. Do the math. That's 4 years, literally. So when I came back, I got 2 kids now, right? I come back from BMW. I worked at BMW like 3 years. I come back and they were like, okay, what do you want to do? You have all this math that's going to transfer over. What are you going to do? I'm like, it makes sense to just do something with math. So then that's where teaching came in because I'm a natural leader, right? I know I could do that. So that's literally how I got started with teaching. The only bad thing about taking the time off was when I got ready to do the same thing that other teachers were doing, which was take the practice. My knowledge of the math was so far back. I hadn't been in high school in 8 years. I graduated 8 years prior to me going back. And so I took those classes over 8 years before that. And so it kind of just all meshed together after you've taken so many math classes. It literally all meshes together. And so that's what brought about the struggle with the practice. The fact that I had to remember ninth grade. Really, for me, I started high school math in the 7th grade. So I had to remember 7th grade, 8th grade, ninth grade, 10th grade math. And I had already taken 4 years all the way up to calculus 4.
High school math in the 7th grade?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. And so that's where the struggle came in. It wasn't that I didn't know it, it was that I had to recall it. Right? It's a lot. And so pretty much what happened was I sat down, I passed the first 2 flying colors. That third one, which is the content knowledge, I failed it, y'all. And I failed it over 10 times. 12 times.
Wow.
I don't think many people know that. And it was $120 every single time I took it. Every single time I took it. And that was 10 to 12 times over a span of like 2 years. Like a year and a half, 2 years. And in that time, I'm interviewing with people. They love my energy. They want me as their teacher. As you mentioned, there were several schools that literally I was the face of the perfect math teacher. And I could not get the job because I couldn't pass the test. And then even a couple of times where people love the energy so much, they were like, we're going to bring you in. And I went in, but they could only, according to the state laws then, pay me full time for a year before they had to let me go. And it was kind of like a waste of time. Right? And so I did that like 2 or 3 times until I was like, I ain't doing this no more. Like, you're not going to pay me as a sub. I can't afford. By this time, y'all, I got 3 kids. I got a master's degree and 3 kids. Like, life was still lifing on the side in the midst of me trying to follow this dream. And what I realized after so long was that was my path, but not that particular way of getting there. Like, that was the purpose. That was the goal that I was supposed to go toward, but there was a different route. And so I don't even honestly, like, it's kind of fuzzy how the college thing got plugged in. I think I was just trying my luck. I was online 2019-ish just applying for stuff because I ain't a person that accepts no easy. And literally a year later, the lady called me and was like, look, we got this college position open. It's part-time. I was like, all right, cool. People work this job years. I'm talking 7, 8, 9, 10 years before they get a full-time gig. I got a full-time gig after 1 year of being part-time. Tell me God's favor is not good. Yes. I was like, that's where I'm supposed to be.
I've heard Tyler Perry say this. You get a million no's, but there's only one yes from God. And I think that was your yes.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining in with Matt Talk with KOC and Coach. This is Pastor Ricky Sarab, Innovation Point. We want you to know that we are a church that welcomes you to come and be a part of any one of our services, specifically Sundays at 10 a.m. And we have a Wednesday Bible Life Study that happens each week at 6:30 p.m. We are here to give you hope again. Our mantra is, we are the place where hope is renewed. So you're more than welcome to join us each and every time the doors open. Our address is 345 East Floyd Baker Boulevard, right here in Gaffney, South Carolina. Again, my name is Ricky Surratt. Thank you for joining in. Hope to see you soon.
From going to 1 year being just part time and then going to full time, was there any type of shift that you had to adjust to, like any type of?
You mean in my day to day?
Yes.
Or anything like that? I would say I just had to part time. I still ran the tutoring center full time. So I did tutoring full time for like 2 years. I don't think I mentioned that. Where I literally, COVID had us booming, baby. We were literally like 40, 50 sessions a week. No lie.
Wow.
And it was almost like it operated like a micro school during the COVID time. And so parents needed somebody to teach their kids. I was available. I was there. And so the lack was never there. Like
40 to 50 sessions
a week.
Back up. iTutor, correct?
Yes.
How did iTutor come to existence?
And so it's so crazy how iTutor came about. This is 2018, summer of 2018. I was on the brink of getting let go from that 1 year thing that I talked about earlier, where they were only able to keep me for 1 year because I didn't pass the praxis. And so I was like, I need some extra money during the summer. They wouldn't let me teach summer school. And so I put a post on Facebook and was like, hey, I'll tutor your kids for $20 an hour. And then I put my credentials on there. Then I only had a bachelor's. I had 2 degrees. I had an associate's and a bachelor's. But people knew that I knew my content.
Absolutely.
And so they bid it. It was so crazy. And so I ended up tutoring here at the library. I ended up tutoring at USC Upstate because that's where I attended school. I would have students to come there in the common area, and I would tutor. And then 2019, my father-in-law was like, I'm going to sow into your life. I'm going to give you the keys to a building because he has, access to real estate and things like that. And so he gave me the keys to a building free of charge. He was like, all you got to do is tell me God's favor, right? Like, you can't help but walk through the door.
Oh, God, give me a second here, y'all. We got to.
Listen, it was a God thing. And so it was like, all you got to do to this older building is make it home. That's easy. So again, depending on my husband, I was like, babe, how much we got to do, whatever. And he never says no. He never tells me no. And so he was like, okay, we literally gutted the place out, had a person come in, they painted it orange and blue. Y'all know those are my colors. We had signs made. I'm talking about the whole 9. This building looked amazing. Got some furniture for the building that was actually donated by one of my former track coaches. Everything about it was free, right?
So everything was free of charge.
Everything was free of charge.
You didn't have to pay for
no rent, no nothing. All I had to pay for was my business license, and I had to pay utilities. And that wasn't that much. The building probably could hold maybe, I think the occupancy maybe said 12. So the building was pretty small, maybe a little bit bigger than this room. And so I worked that until that was 2019. 2020, COVID came. And people thought, oh, snap, like, you just opened the tutor center in 2019. School shut down in 2020. What you going to do? You going to rock or you going to roll, right? And so I'm rocking, baby. I'm rocking. So we gonna wear these masks. We going to social distance. We put up all the signs, and we rocked through COVID, y'all. And the business grew from that. The rapport with the people built because where there was uncertainty in their kids' lives, education-wise, nobody wants that kind of uncertainty. We were able to provide that safety net. And so those same people, literally, I have one client now that started with me. Her daughter went to Spartanburg Day School. She became an online client in March of 2020. I never forget it. She was a 5th grader. She's a 10th grader this year, and I still tutor her. And that's how a lot of them are. I've watched them grow up now. Because of just rocking it out and providing that safety net. We went literally in a year's time to a second location. Then we went virtual where I've tutored, people even from Georgetown, Virginia, things like that. I've had so many doors open with iTutor where we've had partnerships with different businesses, and Trio was one of them. We also had one from Virginia where I was able to get in with one of my friends. Sent me this thing where you can get in with the school board, and they'll pay for sessions for students in Virginia if they're virtual. I am currently a partner with the state of South Carolina, where we have this partnership where the students get the grant, and I think it's like $6,000 to $10,000 a year, and they can use iTutor as one of the services.
Kids,
So,
are y'all listening to
are
this?
you listening?
The state of South Carolina is providing a $6,000 grant for her to tutor you. Her. You heard her story.
Absolutely.
You heard what she has.
Absolutely.
Coach, you get too happy with that play.
I hit it when I want
But listen, that grant, it opened up on January 15th. It closes, I want to say March 1st. So get it in where you fit in.
Awesome.
Yes.
Man, you have almost gave me brain lock just trying to keep up.
It's so much.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Man, so I want to hear, because and the people want to hear, and the people need to hear, especially the parents out there. Talk to us about the importance of continuing your kids' education or fashion during the summertime, because there's a big loss there in the summers.
Yeah, I actually, the teacher that I am, I know it's a shame, but I actually experienced this with my youngest one this past summer. And so I've always, pushed parents to continue studying, continue reading, do something, even if it's like 15 minutes a day, do something, right? And like every kid is different. So like with my older two, they are, I don't even want to say they're different in a better way. They're just different in that I don't have to do as much with them during the summer. As long as they do like something one or two times a week, they're good. So that's what I try to do with my youngest. He might have done something once a week. Y'all, he got back to school. I'm ashamed to say, but I'm proud to say at the same time because we fixed it. We corrected it now. He's a first grader this year. So he got back to school and he had regressed back to the beginning of 5K reading wise.
Wow.
And he has a speech delay, or he did. He's, overcome that now. And so reading never came easy for him. And so I should have known better. I should have been on that literally like every day, like clockwork, because it will create a gap, right? And it'll make you regress back. And all this hard work that you've done the entire year, it's not fair to the kids that we don't do it. They don't understand what's good for them, over the summers. And so anyway, we ended up having to like work double time to get him back to where he is now. And it's either you're going to do it during the summer or you're going to have an interventionist during the school year because they're going to regret it.
This is happening. So, how did you guys correct that?
We ended up, he has an interventionist. Literally, the tutor's kid has a tutor. Okay. And they were like, they asked my permission and I said, yes. I'm never one to like back down from assistance, especially if I know my kid needs it. Never too proud to get a tutor, never too proud to accept assistance on anything. And so he has an in-school tutor, he has an at-home tutor. And we literally work double time on him every day. He comes home so it's like, Mama, why can't I go to my tutor at school every day? I'm like, baby, they can't pull you out of class every day. But he does. He has an interventionist, and he is now right where he needs to be. We literally made up all of that last time, but that's not the same story for everyone, right? Everybody doesn't have a tutor at home that can reinforce. And so if I could say anything, I would say just maintain. If you can do anything in the summer, it's just maintain. Get the stats from the teacher, figure out where they are math and reading wise, and literally give them something every week. Buy a workbook where they can work a couple pages every week. I sell those too, by the way. But yeah.
Okay. Buy a workbook. You sell those too?
Sell those too. Workbook. So I created a workbook.
A workbook. You got a workbook. You got a tutoring center. You.
It's a lot.
You got a lot. It's a lot.
Lillian Elwood.
I have literally shipped workbooks to New York, Virginia, and all the places, like all parts of South Carolina over the last couple of years. That workbook came about because people started reaching out to me like, hey, we don't necessarily need tutoring over the summer, but the very thing that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
We need something to bridge the gap. And I want it customized to my kid. I can go into the store and buy a workbook for 6th grade math, but what if my kid is on 3rd grade math in this section and 6th grade math in this section? So I literally can tailor the workbook to the student.
Wow. What grade levels does your workbook?
It goes all the way up through high school. So from kindergarten through high school, we do for kindergarten through sixth grade, we do reading and math. And then from sixth grade to 12th grade, we do all math only.
Awesome. So if someone was interested, as they should be, in purchasing or getting in contact with you in regards to your workbooks or in regards to what you're going to talk about in a little while, what's next? How do they contact
Couple ways. We have a business line. It's 864-425-3115. I also have an email. It's itutoracademiccenter@yahoo.com, so you can't forget it.
Yeah, it's gonna be right here. It's gonna be right here. We'll have it right there.
And then we also have a Facebook page. It's the iTutor Academic Center that you can message us on, and it comes directly to my phone. And then I would give you our Remind app, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But message me for our Remind app, and I will give you the Remind code. That way you kind of get the messages and stay in the know when things change and when new information is out.
Absolutely. You guys stay tuned to the end of this podcast, and we're going to have all of Shamaka's
Oh, definitely,
demographics in contact.
definitely. Coach, my mic stand just kind of.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Hey,
just kind of.
Hey, one mic stand on
Yeah,
the show,
just
brother.
yeah, it just the show business for you. It's just show
Improv was
business. It's
everything.
just trials and tribulations. There you go, right there. That's it.
Trials and tribulations. It happens.
But no, thank you for being a part of this. We really do appreciate you for being a part of this. When Coach called you, you said yes immediately. And we were excited to have you on. I'm excited to see what you continue to do. You're already thriving. So you can only get it only can go up from here. And I'm just excited. What else you got, Coach?
Oh man, it's just super proud of you. Super proud of you. Not going to really revert back to childhood stories, but if you know, then you know. We've been down. We've been together for a long time now. As Trey had mentioned earlier, that recently you made the decision to close the doors, the concrete doors, the brick and mortar of iTutor. Through conversations with you, you've expressed moving into another dimension. I dare say, just moving into another phase, the next phase of your life, and just really hearing the yes, and blocking out. You know, what does that look like? What can we expect from you going forward? And who are you partnering with? What resources do you need?
So that was a whole thing. Listen, that was God. Because I love iTutor enough to literally drag it along for the rest of my life if I could. But that's literally the thing. I felt like, the building I was dragging along, I'm never letting my clients go. I'm just only going to do a certain amount going forward. But of course, I can't sit with my hands idle. I feel like I have to be doing something. So this whole time, God has taken me through this transition of you have to let it go right now. I'm literally like, okay, God, I'm letting it go. But what's next? It's kind of what's on the other side of my brain because I'm not one to sit idle. I feel like I've definitely gone, I say that, but I've gone through a season of, okay, God, I just want to be comfortable. I just want to sit. I don't want to do the next big thing for once in my life because I'm always expected to do the next big thing or, the next great thing. And so I would say, when this came about, it was something that I have a passion for. I love sport. Absolutely love sport. Football, basketball. I was at the basketball game last night. They did real good.
Yeah.
Real good games. But they beat Spartanburg, both the boys and the girls.
That was a good game.
It was a good game. Listen,
that was a good game.
It
Now the
was
refs,
good.
the refs almost needed a police escort, Coach. That's all I'm gonna say. It was pretty rough.
I love sports, so I would boo it.
Yeah, see,
But I love sports and anything that I can do to propel students forward, I'm all for that. And so I've done the kind of work that I'm going to be transitioning to, I've done for free for a lot of years. Now, life is life and it ain't personal, but I understand the gift and I have to put a price tag on it to allow my gifts to make room. And so, I'm going to be transitioning into a role of, I call it academic coaching. Is kind of what it is. And it's pretty much allowing me to be in the lives of the athletes, but fostering the role of the success coach. And so the success coach, I'm going to check in on you, make sure your grades are where they need to be for the college that you say you want to get into. I'm going to make sure that you know all the deadlines for whatever applications that you need to fill out. I'm going to make sure you know the small things like there's an HBCU day where you fill out all the applications for those particular HBCUs and it's free. I'm going to make sure just the small things that people tend to forget about when athletes are athletes, right? Because sometimes there's not enough time to think about college right then, and then when you start to think about it, it's too late because you really should have done that 8 months ago, right, or a year ago for some of them. And so I want to be that person that they hire, that they come to and say, "Hey, we want you to be our agent in this sense. We want you to be our success coach." I like the term success coach.
I like the term success coach, but also like the term agent.
Agent.
Yeah.
Make you sound professional when you say agent.
So when you're talking the next venture that you're going into, what would you consider the recommended grade level for a parent to start really buckling down on their students' college and career readiness?
I would say 10th grade, somewhere between 9th and 10th grade, buckling down for sure. I wouldn't necessarily bait them until 10th grade because I want to have you on my team. I want to be a part of your team by your junior year because junior year is when scouts are coming. Junior year is when offers are given. Junior year, they can be given before then. We've seen a lot of freshmen this year get big time offers.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I say between freshman and sophomore year, you want to kind of just have that in the back of your mind. So I can advertise to you, but I wouldn't necessarily bait you until like midway through your sophomore year. Like my daughter right now is halfway through her sophomore year and we're already amping up. I'm like, okay, what you doing? What's your plans? Where you going? I want to get into your brain that sophomore year so that junior year it's go time. I know exactly what you want. Now let me see what we can do your junior year. And then by the end of that junior year, hopefully you got some offers.
Absolutely.
Pause. Wait. Hold on. I just got to brag on Maddie for a minute.
So,
I just got to brag on Maddie.
By the way, this is Maddie Mama.
Yeah, this is Maddie's mother. This is Maddie's mother. This is Maddie's mother. Maddie was in the Miss Cherry Camp pageant. I hosted last week. Very humble, very shy, very quiet. But when I tell you, when she's on that stage, you can tell that she is feeling it. You can tell you can tell she's feeling it. But one thing I can say, when I was reading her bio, because I have to do that as a host, they would give you a long bio to read. Not really too long, but it's pretty lengthy. And she said she wanted to go into politics. And I saw our future Madam President right there. I saw our future Madam President right there. Like if anybody from this generation can lead this country, I think she can do it.
She is her.
I think she is her. Yes, she is her. And you're talking success coach, but you also have a mentoring program too.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Y'all making me listen. Y'all sitting here putting everything out on the forefront. I didn't realize I did so much.
Yeah. you got a mentoring program.
The doers don't see what's been done.
You said that.
The doers don't see what's been done.
So my mentoring program is Power Behind the Pretty, is the name of it. I actually came up with this 2013, maybe. And I only remember that because I have the Facebook message where I sent the guy the logo, thing where I had drawn it up and I was like, can you make this an actual logo? Can you give me a price? I didn't have the money in 2013. I told you I didn't get my bachelor's degree to pay the money that he wanted for the logo. So I never went through with it. But the whole thing behind it was I wanted everybody to understand that we can be pretty women, but there's so much more behind the pretty. What is behind there? There's so much strength that you might not see. Don't let the pretty face fool you in a good way, in that I'm strong, I'm tough, I can get through anything. So that's really what the foundation of the mentoring group was in 2013. Again, I never launched it. God brought it back around, what's this, 2025? In like 2022, 2023. I don't really know what kind of propelled me there. I think it was probably a mixture of my daughter was finishing middle school. Girls get real catty with each other around that time. I was like, these girls need an intervention, right? And so what better way to intervene than to give them, a place, a safe space to talk about these issues. And so that's what we did. And we launched it. And we literally are like a miniature version. So I'm an AKA. We are a miniature version of a sorority, is what I like to call it. And that wasn't even the vision initially.
Beautiful.
These girls who are Beta Club members, student council members, pageant beauty queens, class beauties, or whatever you want to call them. They need service hours to do this stuff. And so we have a platform where they're able to come and serve the community, be miniature humanitarians and give back and give their time. And they enjoy doing it. Not only do we do that, we have empowerment sessions where we can brunch and have a break, where we can, empower each other. We had a Love Yourself social last Valentine's Day. And it was amazing just to see the girls talk about what they love most about themselves. Just space and time to not only give back, but to also pour back in, and it's good.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. That's what it is.
It's great.
Absolutely beautiful. Shamaka, I will tell you on behalf of myself and the KOC, it has absolutely been
A pleasure.
absolutely,
Same.
absolutely. Is there anything that a community that you have done so much for? Is there anything that our community can do for you to help you help them?
Um, I would say just be more aware of our youth. Like the youth are my heart. Like I love young people.
Wow.
Literally teach the teens at church because of the very thing that I'm about to say. I would just say just be more aware of them and what they're going through. And I know sometimes they get on your nerves and sometimes they do those things that you might not be as proud of. But again, someday they're going to have a I remember when. And I just keep that because I have so many I remember wins. And I want their I remember wins to have something along the notion of, I remember when Miss Rice asked me if I was okay, or I remember when Miss Rice, noticed that I was off today. I remember when Miss Rice had that event that I was able to go to and I was struggling so bad with my mental. I want us to be more as a community to just have these spaces for our young people to just be. Ask them if they're okay. Notice when they're off. Don't just allow them to sit in their rooms with the headphones on or with their AirPods in and just kind of be amongst themselves because we never know what's going on mentally. It's about mental health awareness. At the end of the day, that's kind of like my biggest goal right now.
Absolutely. KOC, you got anything for us? Any closing remarks?
Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for just being you and being the leader in the community a female leader in the community that we all need, especially with our youth. We definitely need that. Again, I appreciate you for coming. We love you so much. Anything you want to say to the people before we head out?
Nothing other than thank y'all for having me. I enjoyed my time here, and hopefully, just maybe that something was said along the way that gave glory to God and that also gave you the nudge to be the change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
the woman, the myth, the legend,
herself,
the
Oh,
community
Lord.
activist,
Miss.
entrepreneur, the difference maker, Miss Shamaka Rice.
Thank you. Well, that was Miss Shamaka Rice. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Matt Talk with KOC and Coach. The next episode, you don't want to miss it. I promise you it's going to be good. Until next time, we out of here. Peace.